Okay, guys, today we're going to read Drawing Bob, Bob and Julia, Mac, and Not Sleepy. And in your books, this starts on page 46. Drawing Bob. I love Julia's pictures of Bob. She draws him flying across the page, a blur of feet and fur. She draws him motionless, peeking out from behind a trash can, or the soft hill of my belly. Sometimes in her drawings, Julia gives Bob wings or a lion's mane. Once, she gave him a tortoise shell. But the best thing she ever gave him wasn't a drawing. Julia gave Bob his name. For a long time, no one knew what to call Bob. Now and then, a mall worker would try to approach him with a tidbit. What is a tidbit? Let's look that one up. A tidbit is a small piece of tasty food. Okay, so now and then, oh no, what did I do? There we go. So now and then, a mall worker would try to approach him with a tidbit, a little piece of tasty food. Here, doggy, they'd call, holding out a french fry. Come on, Pooch, they'd say. How about a little piece of sandwich? But he would always vanish into the shadows before anyone could get too close. One afternoon, Julia decided to draw the little dog curled up in the corner of my domain. First, she watched him for a long time, chewing on her thumbnail. I could tell she was looking at him the way an artist looks at the world when she's trying to understand it. Finally, she grabbed her pencil and set to work. When she was finished, she held up the page. There he was, a tiny, big eared dog. He was smart and cunning, but his gaze was wistful. Let's look that one up. Wistful. Wistful is an adjective, a describing word, having or showing a feeling of vague or regretful longing. So, like he's thinking deeply about something in the past. So he has a wistful gaze, and that's a gaze is you looking at something, the way he looks. Under the picture were three bold, confident marks circled in black. I was pretty certain it was a word, even though I couldn't read it. Julia's father peered over her shoulder. That's him exactly, he said, nodding. He pointed to the circled marks. I didn't realize his name was Bob, he said. Me either, said Julia. She smiled. I had to draw him first. And here's a question you guys are going to be answering. Why did Julia have to draw Bob before giving him his name? Okay, Bob and Julia. Bob will not let humans touch him. He says their scent upsets his digestion. What is digestion? The process of breaking down food by mechanical and enzymatic action in the stomach and intestines. That's a noun, so it's a thing. Your digestion, that's food going through your body. So Bob says that the scent of humans upsets his digestion. Maybe they give him a stomach ache. But every now and then, I see him sitting at Julia's feet. Her fingers move slowly, or her fingers move gently just behind his right ear. And here's another question for you guys. Why does Bob let Julia touch him? So he really doesn't like humans all that much. He doesn't let humans touch him, but he lets Julia touch him. Why? And the section Mac is on page 49 in your books. Mac. Usually Mac leaves after the last show, but tonight he is in his office working late. When he's done, he stops by my domain and stares at me for a long time while he drinks from a brown bottle. George joins him, broom in hand, and Max says the thing he always says. How about that game last night? And business has been slow, but it'll get better, you'll see. And don't forget to empty the trash. Mac glances over at the picture Julia is drawing. What are you making? He asks. It's for my mom, Julia says. It's a flying dog. She holds up her drawing, eyeing it critically. Ooh, that word critically. What does that mean? It's an adjective. It describes critical, expressing adverse or disapproving comments. Being critical means you're looking at that something might be wrong with something or judging it. She likes airplanes and dogs. Mac murmurs, sounding unconvinced. He looks at George. How's the wife doing anyway? About the same, George says. She has good days and bad days. And if you guys remember, um, earlier in the book, we read that Julia's mom is sick, and that's why she stopped coming to the mall. Max starts to leave, then pauses. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a crumpled green bill, and presses it into George's hand. Here, Max says with a shrug, buy the kids some more crayons. Mac is already out the door before George can yell, thanks! So we have a question here. Why did Mac really give George the money, and what does this tell us about him? So do you think Mac gave George the money to really get Julia some crayons, or was it for another reason? Not sleepy. This is page 51. Stella, I say after Julia and her father go home, I can't sleep. Of course you can, she says. You are the king of sleepers. Shh, Bob says from his perch on my belly. I'm dreaming about chili fries. I'm tired, I say, but I'm not sleepy. What are you tired of? Stella asks. I think for a while. It's hard to put into words. Gorillas are not complainers. We're dreamers, poets, philosophers, nap takers. What is a philosopher? It's a noun. A noun is a word that's a person, place, or thing. A person engaged in or learned in philosophy. So philosophy is thinking about things and really, really thinking deeply about whatever it is. Gorillas are thinkers. I don't know exactly. I kick at my tire swing. I think I may be a little tired of my domain. That's because it's a cage, Bob tells me. Bob is not always tactful. Tactful. It's an adjective. It describes having or showing tact. Um, it can really mean not quite being polite about things or thinking about how something you say might make somebody else feel. I know, Stella says. It's a very small domain. And you're a very big gorilla, Bob adds. Stella, I ask. Yes? I noticed you were limping more than usual today. Is your leg bothering you? Just a little, Stella answers. I sigh. Bob resettles. His ears flick. He drools a bit, but I don't mind. I'm used to it. Try eating something, Stella says. That always makes you happy. I eat an old brown carrot. It doesn't help, but I don't tell Stella. She needs to sleep. You could try remembering a good day, Stella suggests. That's what I do when I can't sleep. And here's a question for you guys. What is Stella's advice for Ivan? So when Ivan says he can't sleep, what does Stella suggest that he do? Stella remembers every moment since she was born. Every scent, every sunset, every slight, every victory. You know I can't remember much, I say. And here's another question to think about. Why might Ivan not want to remember his past? So Stella remembers everything, but Ivan doesn't remember much at all. And maybe he doesn't want to? Why might he not want to? There's a difference, Stella says gently, between can't remember and won't remember. That's true, I admit. Not remembering can be difficult, but I've had a lot of time to work on it. Memories are precious, Stella adds. They help tell us who we are. Try remembering all your keepers. You always liked Carl, the one with the harmonica. Carl, yes. I remember how he gave me a coconut when I was still a juvenile. And there's another good word. I don't think I highlighted that one, but juvenile is an adjective. It means somebody young. Well, you could use it to describe it. It can also be a noun. In this sentence, it's a noun. Of or relating to young people. So back when Ivan was a young juvenile, he had a keeper named Carl. I remember how he gave me a coconut when I was still a juvenile. It took me all day to open it. I try to recall other keepers I have known, the humans who cleaned my domain and prepared my food and sometimes kept me company. There was Juan, who poured Pepsis into my waiting mouth, and Katrina, who used to poke me with a broom when I was sleeping, and Ellen, who sang, How much is that monkey in the window? With a sad smile while she scrubbed my water bowl. And there was Gerald, who once brought me a box of fat, sweet strawberries. Gerald was my favorite keeper. I haven't had a real keeper in a long time. Max says he doesn't have the money to pay for an ape babysitter. These days, George cleans my cage and Mac is the one who feeds me. In this section I meant to highlight, let's do that. When I think about all the people who have taken care of me, mostly it's Mac, I recall, day in and day out, year after year after year. Mac, who bought me and raised me and says I'm no longer cute. And here's another question for you guys. Who takes care of Ivan now, and why doesn't he have a keeper? As if a silverback could ever be cute. Moonlight falls on the frozen carousel, on the silent popcorn stand, on the stall of leather belts that smell like long gone cows. The heavy work of Stella's breathing sounds like the wind in trees, and I wait for sleep to find me. And my last little note here, this is a simile. The heavy work of Stella's breathing sounds like the wind in trees. So think about anytime you've heard the wind blowing through trees. Ivan is saying that the sound of Stella breathing sounds like that.